I think we are causing great harm for ourselves. In fact, even cloud seeding, I don't know how that is going to work, right? Do you have access to transport? What kind of materials does the building use, and what kind of insulation or reflection is available there? How much energy does a building produce?
Urban heat island effect. Is there any way private citizens can do something in order to mitigate area-wise in our own locality?
Your AI is churning out consuming far more energy. Just last week, Zuckerberg was on saying that AI is going to the cost of AI is going to be just energy mostly. ACs aren't a solution. We are running and buying it now because that's being sold as a solution. So, what's hot in Bengaluru?
Bengaluru. It's so hot, it's unbearable. We've never seen this kind of spell of heat in Bangalore like this. I'm getting trolled by my friends and family in Chennai, asking, "Hey, how's the weather now? How do you feel? How do you like it now?" That's the kind of trolling I'm getting from my friends and family elsewhere.
It's not like it's less there, no?
It's not, but when they were hot, we were relatively cooler. Most of our summers were like 10 days of super sun and all that stuff, but on the 15th day it started raining and cools the city down. But this last 5 months there's been no rain. Our city has never been so hot for so long at a stretch. It's apparently the hottest summer in the last 4-5 decades. Why do you think we are in this situation?
I think we have gotten ourselves into this situation. It's not just about Bengaluru. Everywhere there is a heat wave across the country, right?
El Nino.
We have lots of names.
Yeah.
You and I are just mango people who don't have access to technical words like El Nino and whatever else the other one was. But I guess what we feel is definitely something over time. It has gotten hotter, and it's like that proverbial frog being slowly boiled, and it doesn't tell the difference, which is not really true. I think it can tell the difference and try to jump out. But then I guess the global phenomenon of this whole heat wave, it has been last year in Europe, they told me. The guys came down and said, wow, it's a heat wave there. And look at what happened in Dubai last week, and what's happening in Africa now, floods. China is having floods. The whole weather pattern has changed, and you can blame this on climate change that you don't know. And most people actually say they don't actually blame it on climate change. I feel at some point some of these guys are just, oh, this is naturally how Earth is, right?
The rise and fall of temperature.
Yeah, whatever they call it that. But at the end of the day,
there has been contribution from our side.
100%, right? Yeah. I mean, you cannot.
We sped it up. It was not like this. The cycles weren't so short, right? I think we end up putting a lot of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and then it just heats up the situation.
So many things, right? So one of the things that I heard some of my friends mention was that, hey, look at the news. It's probably because of cloud seeding they are having rain, and that was completely debunked. They said, look, it's not just about cloud seeding, but it was definitely
in Dubai.
Yeah, in Dubai.
I believe it was cloud seeding. I still get a lot of people telling me that.
So it's not, apparently. It's been debunked. So we don't watch the other videos, which is inconvenient to us, which actually tells you that it wasn't the cloud seeding. Yes, cloud seeding has had rain that has been caused before, but this particular one was definitely human-induced climate. Okay, what is human-induced climate change? Let's kind of, as layman, the way I understand it is very simple, right? Take cloud seeding. That is also a way of changing the behavior of the cloud, right? You're going in. It's a rain cloud. It has a bit of rain, but it is not ripe enough to fall.
I don't think it is making clouds. I don't think you can make clouds.
No, you're not making clouds. So it has water in it.
The water moisture has to flow in, and then you.
Correct. So normally, how does this work, right? So it cools down. It goes along the way. It carries more moisture, and it cools down, and then it falls down as rain. What we do is prematurely make it rain where it is. Right? You saw some clouds. It's not ripe enough. Let's just go put some more dry ice in it and whatever else chemicals in it and put it down. That's a way of inducing a behavior from some natural way of it working. Of course, there could be other issues with that, right? So if you call that, and what we are doing every day in our life is putting things into the atmosphere that goes in and influences the weather patterns, similar to what you do in cloud seeding. It's not just about putting it from the plane alone, right? I mean, all the emissions that you're creating is causing changes in the weather pattern, because these are also particles, just like that, different types of particles, sulfur dioxide, nitric oxide, and all of these things along with the carbon dioxide emissions are going and changing the weather patterns for us, right? So if you are concerned about somebody going in and altering the cloud physically where you can see, we should also be concerned about all the stuff that we are emitting on a daily basis.
From the surface, yeah.
From the surface. You're not necessarily going out there and dropping it in there and causing an alarm. There's like many people dying on the roads and nobody bothers, but when one airplane crashes with a lot of people, there's a huge amount of attention, right? So while cloud seeding causes that attention, there is a huge amount of influence that we are doing with our human behaviors that is also causing this climate change, right? Simplistically, the way I could look at it is we need to start controlling the way we are engineering our cities, our weather, and all of these things, right? We are not paying attention to these causes and including them in our calculations of the growth and the development and all of these things that we are trying to do. We are not, by not including this as factors into development, I think we are causing great harm for ourselves. In fact, even cloud seeding, I don't know how that is going to work, right? I mean, if this cloud were naturally moving, let's say it's coming in from Kerala and it is coming to Karnataka and going towards Andhra Pradesh, and suddenly I decide I want water, and I just take this thing out. The guys in Andhra are going to say,
quickly political.
No, what the hell did you do? You just took away my water. It's just supposed to come here and you just took it out. There are ramifications of cloud seeding we have not even thought about. If Dubai took all the water, would it have naturally gone into Iran and poured over there? I don't know. The Iranians should be unhappy that you took away my cloud.
Well, technically, I'm not very sure about how that thing works. It's still a very gray area for me. But I'm just concerned about Bangalore. Because the 16, 17 years that I've been living here, I've never, ever faced this kind of heat for this long. There has been no respite. What is the thing about, I mean, my first question is, why this year? Did we do anything consistently bad for the last 2-3 years that it's culminated to this? Second, what is the government going to do in order to mitigate water shortage and subsequently the floodings that might come through the rains, through monsoons? What are we doing?
I think we can only guess about what. Well, not really. The weather pattern thing is not necessarily that the government went ahead and said, okay, let's have bad weather, but it is now up to them to solve this, right? It has to be solved at a global level. But what we are doing in Bangalore is what we call an urban heat island effect. So this is something that is a microclimate that we are affecting due to our actions, right? Every time we have a building put up, we are just looking at how good that is for us to pay, the effect it is having on the amount of heat it generates, right? And all of our actions, whether it is the air conditioning we buy to cool ourselves or the
glass buildings
that we put up, the material that we use, the amount of built up area, and the reduction in greenery, together is causing an effect, again the complications of which we are not factoring into our daily decisions. We seem to be making very simplistic decisions in everything. Now we are seeing the effect of saying everything is not simple, they have complexities, and they're
all connected.
They are connected and they are not being factored in for selfish reasons. The builder doesn't necessarily want to overcomplicate this, but the effect of that is now being felt by everybody. The amount of green cover you reduce, the amount of concretization you did. When you did the concretization, did you calculate the runoff? Did you calculate the amount of heat you're putting out, right? And the materials you use, the amount of concrete we are using, you know that the insulation of the building and the reflectivity of the building, the U values and the R values that are there, are basically how much absorption that is U is how much.
What is a U and R value?
So they have the civil engineer should comment and tell us. But what generally happens is every material that you use as a wall or a roof or something like that, the material has either the absorptive capabilities or the reflective capabilities. The R value is how much it reflects back, and the U value is how slowly. The lower the U value is, the slower it is absorbing and transmitting out. So the insulation is higher if it has a lower U value, right? So you are supposed to know that when you buy a building. You're supposed to know what is the material being used. You assume it is concrete, but then glass also has its own greenhouse effect, and then you put in air conditioning to cool it further, right? And we have to remember one basic of mechanics or physics or whatever you want to call it is every mechanical instrument, human-made mechanical instrument that is there, a byproduct of any work done is heat. Right? However efficient it is, there is going to be heat by any mechanical instrument, any engine, any motor, any work done, anything that puts energy, gets something moving, and creates. Even an electric thing creates heat as a byproduct, right? Any material that has heat. So we are not considering how our buildings are generating heat, and you try to cool it down. You use materials like glass, which keeps you hotter, and then you cool it and then throw it all out. You're putting in more effort into cooling that, and all of that energy that is consumed is again going to go back out as heat, a percentage of that. You're only trying to make it more and more efficient while you're trying to trap more and more heat. So at the end of the day, all of the microclimate effects that you're seeing in Bengaluru, go and stand on the roadside. Each of those motor vehicles are emitting heat. Touch the bonnet of your car, it's generating heat. Just imagine all of the heat that is going out onto the street surface where you're walking. No wonder you're feeling bad about it, because all of that heat is again a microclimate. So we are making ourselves feel worse. So you remember we were just outside having tea in the sun. How did it feel in the shade and how did it feel? I showed you the real feel of AccuWeather.
Yeah.
What did it show?
It showed 2 degrees less than the directly under the sun.
Right. So we were there in the sun. It said 37 feels like 38. And then we were in the shade. We didn't feel anything at all.
Yeah.
There was a slight breeze also. There's a 13 kmph breeze blowing, and we were right under the tree. Right. And we didn't feel the heat at all. And when we walked a little further into the sun,
right
we
there.
felt it. So 37
hot.
felt 38 and 35 here. That's a 3-degree temperature just from that corner to here.
Yeah, and I also told you about the stretch on the way to my house.
Yeah.
Just that one stretch which has trees on both sides, which are densely covered trees on both sides, the temperature literally dips. And every time I go to my house, I sense that, my family has sensed that, everybody senses that. It's the direct learning by example that, if you have trees, the temperature does drop down. I'm talking about the road, the stretch of road that goes to my house.
I remember this. Me and one of my colleagues, we were doing a street vendor survey in 2016, which was one of the hottest days, right? 39 point something.
April 25th, that's what I saw.
2016, right? On that particular day, me and my colleague were doing a street vendor survey. We were out on the streets at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. We didn't feel a thing. It was on that main road where we were having a tea, right? That is fully covered. It's a canopy on Sanjay Nagar main road, and we were standing there and doing, and then we came back and everybody said yesterday was the hottest day, we couldn't tolerate it. So we didn't feel a thing. We were right under that tree doing a street vendor survey and we didn't feel anything. The impact of that, everybody knows that, yet we engineer absolutely shitty cities for ourselves. Why do we do that again and again?
It's not always government's fault. So it's always our choice. I mean, it's also our choosing, right? The choices that we make, the what do you call, how we look away from what when trees are being cut, for example. I mean, we don't even question the authorities. We don't when we want to build houses or get into apartments, we don't, like you said, the U value or the R value, we don't even know that. We know more about where the kitchen should face, which direction the kitchen should face, than these things, right?
No
You
toilet
know,
in the southeast,
yeah, no,
southwest
yeah,
corner or
we
whatever.
know
Yeah.
those things, but we don't know these things.
Mm.
So what difference does it make if citizens like us know about it? If we ask questions, how would that change?
I guess there is
No, do you
complete.
think the builders will actually take into account of all these because they just want to do their business as soon as possible and get out?
I guess there has to be some amount of basic information. It all starts with, I remember this quite a few years back, about 6, 7 years back, when I was trying to characterize neighborhoods with someone. I found a site in the US which actually said they don't just rate the building alone. They rate the neighborhood, they rate the accessibility to services, they rate how quickly your first responders get to you and things like that. I found that extremely useful, right? When I buy a when I buy an apartment complex, how much information, and this was not done by the government, it was some private website which was just selling, which was just giving information, and of course,
That's my point. Do they have that institutionalized? This thing, what you're saying, that how well a neighborhood is designed versus how well a building is designed.
okay, there are two aspects to this. I was trying to explain to you how a private portal which just sells real estate was able to redraw how you look at real estate in this place, right? Which is, I'll give you information about how easy it is to access transport, how well the first responders are there. This was particular to the university. So I don't see why not that all the real estate portals start saying, is your, are you having, access to water? Do you have access to transport? What kind of materials does the building use, and what kind of insulation or reflection is available there? How much energy does a building produce? I'm saying how even simple real estate portals can look at this as an option to suggest a better way, and put an index on that, right? This is the environmental index of this apartment or not. I mean, even associations could do that. We can look at how to gather that information. That's the second thing, right? And the other question of how government can get into, I would let the government come in and say, okay, look, we are all under stress, right? That, do you want me to coerce you into doing certain things? Do you want me to start banning things? Do you want me to start rationing things? We should try to avoid.
Sounds ominous. Yeah.
Sounds ominous. The minute they do it in their own way. Is there a way we can get a handle of all these ourselves? Try as we can. But they're the ones giving permission though, and they don't have conditions to the permissions. But you can vote with your feet, maybe. I'm just thinking aloud here. Is that, can we get enough information about energy of apartments, energy being released? How much of ACs are there? How many buildings have lower energy, embodied energy in them that they are releasing out? Do they have more glass? Do they have more steel? Do they have uh, less emissions coming out of there? There are possibilities, and this is an opportunity for us to look at how do we look at all of the built form that we're building, all of the areas. So the complex could come back and say, hey, look, we may be emitting X amount, but we are offsetting with so many trees inside our complex, not some place far away and say there is a forest 500 kilometers away and that's how we are offsetting. The what do you call, the microclimate is the microclimate of the area of the city of Bengaluru. It is not offset against something happening far away. If you want this to be livable, if you want ourselves to have an environment which is less heat generating, there's a massive relook I think we all have to start looking at, right? Take for example this house, right? We've tried to reduce as little as, there's no air conditioning. Just repainted the top roof with a reflective thing. It promised over 12 degrees less, but it's definitely cooler. You went upstairs and you saw it was slightly better. Here down in the basement, it's actually nice and cool, and you don't even feel it. And when we walk outside under the trees, 3 degrees cooler. At least it's 35 and not 38.
It doesn't feel like 38. Yeah.
Half of it. So we've solved the 3 degrees of anxiety has been solved just by a tree. And by making less and less of heat generating stuff around, we try to keep it cool. But most people look at internally, how do I keep my building cool, and then start emitting more things out. So it's actually worse off in the end. ACs aren't a solution. We are running and buying it now because that's being sold as a solution. There is a urgency that I think the government of the day needs to start understanding. There is no going away that at least for the microclimate level, they should be able to influence how our city is being built. Repeatedly, I think a couple of weeks ago, they came back and said, let's revive the master plan again. There are people, individuals also coming and saying, oh, if we put a tree here, where are we going to put our houses? There's still our selfishness of thinking that it has to be an either or. If there is a house, there can't be a tree. How can you have a house and a tree? I don't understand why we can't understand that we can have both if we do this well enough, right? So you don't have to pack inch by inch, right? That is what planning is about. Is about mixing them well enough that you can have your trees, you can have your shade, and you can have your buildings, and everybody can be better off. One of the things I had on the podcast earlier with Anjali Mohan was also talking about this new premium FAR, which basically is I'll give you more height for money. And one of the things that viewers should watch that podcast as well. One of the things is to say you will get more if you do something to reduce your intensity. Climate intensity, water intensity, energy intensity, and all of these kind of things, right? So it's important for the government to start incentivizing better behavior
and not behave like a corporate by itself.
Yeah, why do they have to just say, give me the money and you do whatever you want?
Yeah.
Right? We are losing water bodies, we are losing green cover, we'll have 76% green cover or more. It need not be that way. There is a balance that you can always strive to have, and this is about how do you exert control, not excessively, that you get everything into a permission system and housing goes for a toss because they are not going to be able to build, and then they're going to squat on it saying, oh, I'm now afraid to give permission for anything and everything. Have a set of rules that says these are your incentives. Do good things, reduce intensity of energy and water and air and everything else. You get more benefits of building taller, right? When you increase density, reduce intensity. That should be kind of the motto for the government to look. If they are not going to pay attention and get their act together, we are in deep shit. I can tell you that much. We are in deep shit.
So we're going to have longer and longer spells of summer without rains, and this is just the beginning.
Right. See, you can always come and say, oh, the whole India is suffering, so we are also suffering along with them. You need not. A 3-degree intensity just under the tree we can see. And 3 degrees is a lot. Yes. You can literally feel it. You can stand there and see it. Just go now, right now, in 38 degrees, stand under a tree in Bengaluru. Of course, you can't say the same thing of any other city here. Maybe the humidity is adding a little bit. That factor is also there. But anywhere you go, under a tree is always cooler.
Yeah.
Right? Simple example. And how much are you emitting in buying ACs, buying this? Of course, you have to do it now. But then once you bought it, you're going to use it more. Anytime you get that click. You can't click a tree today.
Yeah.
Right. So one is our own thinking about this is that, oh, everything is gone, everything is baloney. You know, people talk about climate change, it is not there. That's that hyperbolic discounting. Climate change will never affect us. Now it's not there. It's right here at your doorstep. And you only think impact engineering your way out of this is going to, help us. It's not good. I mean, if you have engineered your cities like this, you can always engineer it to be better.
The other obvious question is, okay, now that we've reached here, this is what it is. Bangalore city is what it is, and all of us live here. Within our own spaces, is there anything that we can do in order to, you said urban heat island effect. Is there any way private citizens can do something in order to mitigate area-wise in our own locality? Is there anything that we can do? Are there experts in that? Are there any, without relying too much on the government, if people themselves can come together and probably make an example out of their locality. Like when it's 38 outside, we saw how it is cooler inside. I mean, under the tree, right? Like that. What if there's an area that feels like Ooty inside?
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying.
No, yeah, 3 degrees is possible, right? I mean, you
Yeah,
just saw that.
yeah.
2 degrees, 3 degrees is definitely possible. And I don't know, I mean, there are examples. If you look at our own city, like Bengaluru, you take, for example, in many of our cities where there are the military establishments or some places, there are more trees there. Like I remember the same example you gave. If you take New BL Road in the northern side of town, from Nagar police station, for many decades, there was the Indian Institute of Science on this side and the CPRI and many other military institutes on this side. Yeah, there's this, yeah. And that place used to be cool when you used to ride a scooter or a bicycle that I ride.
It's like in IIT Chennai.
Yeah.
IIT Chennai,
Something
the same
similar.
thing happens.
Many people will see that. You see that and you know that, and yet you can't replicate that. Right? And I feel that the best way to start is that all of us as citizens start understanding that our ability to live less resource intensive life is the only way to go. The more you hark after, oh, we have higher GDP now and hence we need more luxuries, is actually the wrong. I mean, you can consume many other things, but a consumption led way of looking at your wealth is going to lead us into worse situation. Rather balance it out, saying that you can still consume certain things, but how do you measure your intensity or your footprint today? And how do you can't take it to zero. Nobody asks you to take it to zero or completely shun and live like a recluse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now everybody takes extreme examples.
It's not practical.
Everybody takes extreme examples. We've seen that in our, you want us to give everything up and live in the forest. I'm saying reduce 2 things in your
You won't have life. A forest, you'll turn up in a desert.
Yeah, just take 2 things and reduce 2 things. Just don't turn on the AC for a day. Or keep it on for lesser amount in the night, or remove the damn thing and put something else instead, right? Put a wet cloth. My mom upstairs is doing that right now as we speak. I can take you upstairs. There is a wet cloth on the window.
Before AC, I think the 80s and 90s in Chennai, we used to do that.
Yeah.
On the windows, we'll put wet cloth.
Yeah.
So that
you'll see that in the room there, and then the pot upstairs which got this water from it, just a earthen pot. And it's not in the refrigerator, but the water is nicer. I mean, it has that earthy smell, but it's nicer. So simple things, and the end it'll add up. You don't have to wait for somebody else, or you don't have to show it to anybody else. But if you know you're reducing your footprint and you can use resourceful ways of reducing, it's good for in the collective end. And see, look, there are at the end of the day, to answer your question, we have to ourselves solve this problem. It's not like the government came and said, boom, there you have problems. They are responsible for helping us put some things in place. But if we solve a lot of these things ourselves and set examples to each other, there are multiple ways of solving it. What works for me might not work for you, but you may have a different way of solving your intensity. All you're looking at it, solve that reduce the intensity. You don't have to do it exactly the same way, and you don't have to take it to zero. But if you're satisfied that there is 2 notches down, and you complain less about it and take an action and say that, okay, I did this, it's reduced a little bit, I walked a little more, I cycled a little more, I consumed less water, I didn't wash my car today, and I postponed it to 2 more weeks. It's simple things.
And Bangaloreans have done that in the past. I mean, the apathy of lakes that we used to have even 10 years ago, after the Bellandur and Bartur lake incidents, almost all lakes are now being protected by citizen interest groups in that locality. Many lakes, and BBMP themselves have started protecting or putting things in place, putting structure in place, processes in place to protect those lakes. No more encroachment can happen as easily as it used to happen even just a decade and a half back, right? So I think it is possible for us to, once the awareness reaches a criticality, then I think a lot of change will happen.
I think that's interesting. Every time there is a crisis, we have changed things. This water thing is a very nice example, right? Now BWSSB has hydrogeologists. Now they are trying to take used water. They have signed up with the Bangalore Apartments Federation and buying used water and wastewater and reusing them. A lot of apartments are doing that now. And there is
more apartments are not putting their sewage ending up into lakes.
Exactly. Exactly. Now they're having
that's a positive thing.
now they're having wastewater treatment. Now they're
Yeah.
focusing on STPs. Every day I'm hearing stories of apartments doing nice things. I think if we consolidate that and show there is at least a 1% change now, there will be a 2%. You need to create a momentum. How did solar rooftop become a momentum here?
Yeah.
How did Chennai get rainwater harvesting in a momentum or whatever, right? So we had different cities have different momentums that changed. Like Surat became a cleaner city or whatever after the plague. They change into something else. Indore have their own thing of becoming clean city. So each city will have its inflection point where collectively we decide we can't take this anymore. We need to do something different. We need to get it back. I'm not saying take it back. I'm saying get it back and reduce. In the current momentum of development and intensity, you reduce it and say we're doing something different. And I'm seeing positive things. Is the heat a crisis? We might as well make it one.
Yeah.
Because that's when we might change something.
Whether we want to make it one or not, it is already is. We are feeling the heat, so to speak. So you mentioned sometime back about consumerism drives this kind of apathy in our cities, especially when we become more affluent, we tend to invest in luxuries and things around us, cars, bigger houses, air conditioners, and all of that things. Well, that's not going to stop anytime soon. But I just think the way we have understood about health, the new urban health consciousness that is coming up, where everyone is getting more and more aware of what they put inside of them. I think the flip side for our environment, everybody should be conscious about what they put outside. I think with that, with consumerism comes also awareness into general problems. The problems of New York is no longer just localized to New York. I mean, people here also get to know about it, whether it's New York or whether it is Nairobi or whether it is, I don't know, Nellore. We all understand. We all get those informations. We can respond to it. Just like how health has now become, not everybody is just putting things into their mouths the way they were. I mean, when they were introduced to these global brands, right? Global brands are now getting forced to make better stuff. So I think I'm still hopeful.
No, I'm definitely hopeful, and I think all these crisis points are where because we always said that. I mean, remember I mentioned this whole hyperbolic discounting, which is you don't take action on things that you don't think will hit you because it's too far out in the future, right? You have a recency bias, which is whatever is there, immediate responses to your actions are more easily recognizable. Rather than there's still climate change deniers and things like that. I can't believe that we are still so. I mean, we have those people within our circles. Within 2 to 3 degrees,
Yes. There's 2 degrees of separation.
We'll find them. We'll find those people who still remain there. So we only have to increase the percentages of people. You can't go and be a Gandhi about it and say till the last person believes in you, we are not going to make action. That's not going to happen. You have to work on the margins. If you have a set of people who are willing to take action, work with them. Then look at who's the next on the fence we can get on board, and then make it into a momentum and just move it forward. There is no other way we can solve these problems other than get the people who are willing to do it. Don't wait for the naysayers. They're going to be on your YouTube comments saying shitty things. You can't wait for them. You have to work with people who are willing to understand, who are willing to make the change. And consumerism is going to be there. I'm saying conscious consumerism is another word. We can coin these terms, whatever helps us. We can call it conscious consumerism and say, can we invest in devices which are lesser? And now the Energy Star ratings are also there. We need to make them stronger. We need to look for lesser and lesser mechanical things that give out heat. Any load gives out heat. Anything that is being powered and is a load gives out heat as a byproduct. How do we reduce the amount of that? Of course, you can't turn down mechanization. Today, your AI is churning out consuming far more energy. Just last week, Zuckerberg was on saying that AI is going to the cost of AI is going to be just energy mostly. And that's the biggest thing. Energy is the fulcrum around which our civilization is going forward. I have Wackler's Mill here, will tell you.
It always has been.
It's always has been. And then we have to see how do we use it effectively and not waste it. and see how do we harness whatever little we have and manage that beautifully well. And optimization of energy is going to be the next biggest thing in our lifetimes and in the next generation's lifetime. Getting the energy to optimize that and consume as little as possible and yet go forward and change the measures. If consumerism is your biggest component of your GDP, move it into something else. It's already only capital investment now, but we'll see.
So I think it would also help, just in closing, that if, like, let's say BBMP recognized uh, the value of people coming together and making some things possible, like how the Whitefield Rising, the kind of work that they've done and the kind of systems that they have put in place vis-a-vis the government doing stuff in their area. And there are many such examples in the city. But I don't see any open recognition from the government to the citizens' action in order to inspire more such stories across the city. I think if BBMP itself had that kind of a mechanism where it would reward a good practice in a certain locality for the kind of results that they have yielded, which are positive, that could be emulated in other parts of the city. I think that should be nice.
Fair enough. I think some of us can do that. It need not wait for them. I mean, they'll come on board.
No, but always the government doing is nicer than.
We are used to running to that. All these awards that are being given for sustainability, we can craft it and tell the BBMP come on board. There's already cleaner action plan that is being given. There are lots of plans that are there, right? At some level, these things are, like you said, the citizen action is happening on different scales. I think one of the things that OoruLabs is attempting to do is try and tell these stories and bring that. So let us do that. I think you and me need to go out and speak to a few more of these people. We already have 2-3 episodes lined up. A few more are coming up. And we did one with the Brookfields thing. The water things have been very, very insightful in how it can be done. There are communities that are doing good stuff. We need to bring that out. Some of the newspapers are also doing. I saw one nice one on the water harvesting in a community. Some of these things become very intense for people. There is, like Anjali was saying last time, there are 95% of small properties, high rise, four stories kind of. They can't afford their own STPs, their own this, their own that. We have built ourselves into a quagmire right now. And nobody wants STPs in their neighborhood. That's been told. I think the talk with Naresh, they had problems identifying sewage treatment plant. There's going to be smell in my neighborhood. There are lots of
many apartment complex itself has STPs.
So we are demystifying a lot of this. No, so
that doesn't. I mean, of course, sometimes there are some smell issues, but
these are all things in the mind, right, Susheel? Yes. I mean, we all assume certain things and we just say, oh, that is what it is. Waste management is there. I mean, you have to do what you have to do. When you're generating the waste, you never bothered about it. Now, when you have to sort it out, you suddenly have a problem with it. We have to find a way of either not generating so much, or if you're generating your own poop, make sure you treat it well and put it out. There has to be telling of the stories for sure. I like that concept of telling the stories and getting more people involved in doing that. But the government needs to step up, and you saw in the water situation, some amount of traction is there because of the crisis. Can we use the heat crisis again to do something different? How do we leverage this crisis moment? We have to leverage crisis moment. It's like all these Earth Day, this day, that day. We have to leverage this heat day. 200 double century on heat days.
200 days without the rain.
Yeah, we should leverage this and say, let's change what we're doing. Let's not repeat it. 3 degrees, man, just one shade. Let's get that at least.
Yeah, I know. At least protect what we already have, and try to see if we can do anything else in order to get more shade in the city. Not building shade, but tree shade.
Yeah, not building shade. No, I mean, even some of these things are also about how we build, right? Some places I remember, I can't just remember it off my bat. I was reading this just a couple of days ago, is that it was Singapore. They've built such structures in such a way that the wind is channelized or something. And then, so the way they build their buildings, the wind is channelized. And of course, tall buildings give you a draft. So you can build it in such a way that you can channelize the breeze and make more of it flow. No, we just need some imagination in our buildings. All we like is put up a tower and a glass and then call it nice, right? Of course, we have the government which is approving all kinds of random shit. The way they are approving the buildings, the way they are not calling accountability on intensity, these need to change. But before they do that, why don't we set the standard and go to the government and say, look, this is what it is. Get this done. That's the only way it works better. Otherwise, they're just going to sit and say, I don't know what to do. Or 100 people tell them 100 things and they don't know which one is the right one. The person who is the closest and the most influential tells them what it is, they will take that.
Yeah.
And we all have to sit and cross and say, hopefully the guy who is influential enough is not in it for his or her own good.
Yes.
Right?
Not for any ulterior motive.
There's no cronyism over there. All this stuff we have seen. And I think, so we are in the hot seat. And how we go forward depends on what we do from here by ourselves. What we have seen as environmentalism as a dirty word and wokeism and all those things is precisely why you are in this thing, right? At some point, you have to realize that green is not woke. It is preservation of your stupid life. There are people who say, oh, these environmentalists are in it for hugging the tree and not for development. That's how you're branded, right?
Yeah.
So look at it, stand in the heat now. Enjoy the no water days. Have fun. Freak out.
Well, so that brings us to the end of this conversation. I think what we understand, as always, is that government doesn't have all the answers. They're not going to come and save us. It is up to us to take the first initiatives, and like how we have, by and large, managed to protect most of the surviving lakes in the city. I think we can survive. I mean, make the city help mitigate the heat problem that we're going to face. And this has been the first year with the longest spell without a rain. I hope we do something very quickly or to come together in order to make sure that this doesn't repeat.
Yep.
I mean, not that we can bring in rains. We're not going to do cloud seeding or anything, but
you can seed the cloud, but we don't have rules around that. That's another bigger thing I'm worried about. You take the cloud, and then the next town or city is coming and saying, "Oh, you take the cloud, that was rain for me." That's another problem for another day.
Yeah. So instead of depending on the government, that's the long and short of it, that we should make actions more, we should take more responsible actions, and we should come together in order to find solutions for our own local areas, and probably end up in an inspiring story for somebody else to follow.
All right. One more month of heat.
I hope the heat.
I hope it rains, man.
I hope it rains. I said May it's going to rain. It may rain in May.
No, it won't. I think it'll just go on.
Don't be so negative.
I want the crisis to last long enough that everybody burns and says we have to change.
That's a very
sadistic way of looking for change.
It's a very, very aggressive way of making people understand. But I think we've been in the hot pan for some time now, and this is as far Bangalore can take.
Okay, nice moderation.
Hope it should be wet in May. Let's hope.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Thanks. See you.